The Empire Strikes Back is a great film, and it's definitely, the top 1 or 2 fan favorite of all the 6 Star Wars films.
I love you.
I know.
But as great and dramatic as the film is, it was a struggle to get that film made. It's something that people aren't that aware of, really, until now, with the work that Jonathan Rinzler has done to create the making of The Empire Strikes Back.
Personally, I consider it an honor to be able to try and tell the story of the cast and crew who created this cinematic masterpiece.
Jonathan became our own in-house Indiana Jones. He was able to dig into the archives and the library and all the different storage materials that we have to discover things that literally had never seen the light of day since the films were made.
Unlike many filmmakers, George Lucas has managed to hold on to many of the props and models and I think all the art from the Star Wars films. We recently opened a box that hadn't been opened in 30 years, and inside we found the original Yoda puppet and the animatronic works underneath the puppet. So that was a lot of fun, although too late to get into the book.
If someone doesn't do what they did for Empire, all this information and even these techniques, which are still valuable today, are going to be lost. It's good that Jonathan was in there, and that Lucasfilm did this and pushed to get this information archived the way it actually was while we're still around to talk about it.
And one of the most exciting things in the Empire book is that we found some never-seen-before Ralph McQuarrie color studies. About 2 decades ago, the Smithsonian did a Star Wars exhibit, and the stuff that they put in the exhibit was put back into the right drawers, but the stuff that they didn't use got stuffed in a drawer that nobody really looked through. And in those drawers were all these great color studies for production illustrations that Ralph McQuarrie had done. Beautiful masterworks that we're showing for the first time in the book.
Empire was an extremely difficult show. It was the hardest show I've ever worked on. If you compare Empire to Star Wars, there's far more complex sequences in Empire than there was in Star Wars. Daylight shots, there's snow shots, there's nighttime space battles, there's huge spaceships alongside of small spaceships that are easy to talk about, but when you try to get them on the screen to be able to understand the size of them and make them look real, it's just a lot of intense design problems and mechanical problems and compositing problems and everything, all the way through it. When reading the script for Empire, it's got a major sequence. The Walker battle, it's broad daylight against white snow. Any little chance of seeing a map line around somebody, a little black edge or a blue edge, is much stronger, and it's very difficult to do that well. And it meant that the compositing had to be perfect.
And I came to realize that we had no modern fairy tales, that you could say the Western was the last of the myths.
The key moment in all the research was when I was in the archives and I happened to meet Don Bees in the archives. And he said, I found Alan Arnold's original tapes in the garbage once when I was in archives. Would you want those? And it was the original plastic container from 1980 or something with all of Alan Arnold's original unedited tapes. Not transcripts, but the actual raw tapes. It was a gold mine. Why re-interview everybody when you can just go back to what they said, before the movie came out?
Well, I'm very interested in time and the perception of time.
People who read through The Empire Strikes Back making a book will see great on-set photography of Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, George, Irving Kershner, artworks by Ralph McQuarrie and Joe Johnston that were discovered in the archives that nobody's seen before. We'll read about the snowstorms in the wastes of Norway. We'll read about a lot of the tension on set, the financial problems.
I decided I was going to finance the film myself, that I was going to make it completely independently. It just wasn't going fast enough, and I was running out of money.
they'll uncover a story that pretty much mirrors the epic story being told in the film.
It was the hardest film I've ever done. So just the fact that we got it done makes me feel that it was really worth the effort and succeeded in all fronts.
If you love The Empire Strikes Back, if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're a student of film history, you're going to love this book. It takes you to places that we rarely get to see in looking at the history of making films, and especially a beloved film like this.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.